Some say Chinese is one of the most difficult languages in the world, and learning it is almost impossible.
So learning Chinese, the most difficult thing.
非常非常非常非常非常难.
So I'm sort of tone deaf. I can't really hear them.
I think the cultural mindset is the biggest complication for
The
us.
grammar.
知吃思诗都还难。
It's just complicated so much.
Only because you're not learning it in the right way. Why not try Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Nian Honglin with Georgia Massett joining me for today's show. Hello, Georgia.
Hello everyone, 大家好. It's always great to be here.
It's always a pleasure having you here. And I was wondering, because we've been talking about Chinese language, sharing Chinese culture, Chinese food a little bit, festivals for sure, for quite a long time. And I was wondering, is there another maybe element or aspect of the Chinese culture that you're particularly interested in, yet we've not talked about? Do you have a list of those that we might be able to discuss in the future?
Oh, actually, yes. I'm pretty obsessed with literature, Chinese literature.
Sure,
and
that
also,
could be a good thing.
Martial arts. It's something that I'm pretty into. And I've practiced martial arts when I was in high school and a little bit. And now a lot of friends are actually getting into Kung Fu, actually. And they're trying, and I'm getting excited. And I think I will try as well, because I've never tried this kind of martial art.
Oh, that's lovely, because gōngfu is exactly what we're going to talk about for today's episode. Actually, I was trying to ask you, do you know how to say kung fu in Chinese? But apparently, you know, it's gōngfu. And this word can actually be not only kung fu, the martial art, the noun of the martial art practice, but it can also mean time. So if I say 这件事情很花功夫, this matter is quite consuming in terms of the time you need to spend, the effort you need to put in, the energy and everything in it. So 功夫 also carries the meaning of a little bit of effort. So I guess it suggests that in order for someone to practice Chinese Kung Fu, to know Chinese martial art, you need to be very invested in it. You need to spend a lot of time practicing to be good. So that's my understanding. And hopefully after today's episode, people would have a better understanding or perception about the Chinese Kung Fu. And another thing that I find interesting about this is that because gōngfu, martial art or kung fu, is really closely related to Chinese culture, or at least for many who are not from China, who are interested in the culture, it's kind of like they're the first thing they've come across when it comes to Chinese culture. Is that the case for you?
Well, actually not, but now that you talk about it, I'm having this flashback of watching Bruce Lee's movies. And of course, I think it's, without knowing it, when I was smaller, it's one of the first ways I came across Chinese culture, which is actually interesting. I never realized it.
Yes, and at the same time, even for Chinese people, we live in a modern society. Not each and every one of us would be able to practice martial art. I cannot practice martial art, but definitely we have the understanding of different, for example, genres of martial art, different ways of practicing, and of course, different combo and different styles. And many of the styles are actually related to certain location. For example, Shaolin have you ever heard of Shaolin Temple?
Yes, I've actually heard of it, and about his great history and how, well, in order to practice gōngfu, in this case, teachers really teach people not only a physical way of training, but also a mental. And I can consider it more of a path, correct me if I'm wrong, but a path that goes together with mental and physical. And it's more than an actual sport, actually.
Yes, and with all that, actually in especially most Chinese people's mind would believe that a different location, different genre, or different, you can understand it as a school of thought when it comes to martial art, has their own base, their kind of like their national center bureau that they started everything. And those places can often be famous tourist destinations for Chinese people and, of course, for foreign guests and tourists as well. And that is actually going to be the theme of today's Takeaway Chinese. So hopefully after today's show, not only will you have more knowledge about Chinese martial art and culture, you would also add some destinations on the list of places that I must visit when I come to China. So yes, so for our dear listeners, if you're interested in Chinese culture and you want to get a grip on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway. 我最近迷上了中国功夫，太飒了。
那我带你去少林寺体验一下吧。
真的吗？我还想去武当山。
没问题，咱们说走就走，来一次功夫之旅。
我最近迷上了中国功夫，太飒了。
那我带你去少林寺体验一下吧。
真的吗？我还想去武当山。
没问题，咱们说走就走，来一次功夫之旅。
And that's the conversation. How'd you like it? Would you be the one who's interested in visiting these places?
I would be. It looks like such a path that you're going into visiting these places and discovering yourself somehow. It's more not the typical tourist destinations, but at the same time it's a travel within yourself and an actual travel. So it's something that I would love to do.
I like the way you think and describe all this. But let's start with the language first. For the first sentence, 我最近迷上了中国功夫，太飒了。
我最近迷上了中国功夫，太飒了。I have recently become obsessed with Chinese Kung Fu. It is so cool.
Okay, so 我
I
最近
recently
迷上了。
迷上了 to be obsessed with, to become obsessed with.
Yeah, the reason I was laughing is because of this. Because, yeah, I get it. Be obsessed with can be a kind of translation for 迷上了. 迷 carries the meaning of enchanted, of you've been basically confusing someone with this one object that is very attractive, very magical, and you cannot think of anything else but this one particular thing. That is why 迷, in the Chinese concept, I would like to assume that 迷 is relatively a neutral word. It does not have to be obsessed with in a bad way. It's more like I can think of only this, nothing else. This has captured all of my attention, something like that. So 迷上了, I'm obsessed with it. 中国功夫.
So Chinese gōngfu.
Yes. I'm glad that you are translating gōngfu directly into gōngfu or kung fu because, yeah, that's what it is. And I feel like it's really hard for me to relate any other kind of martial art or similar practice with the word gōngfu. Gōngfu is definitely a really just Chinese thing.
Yeah, I think so as well. It's so big at the same time. It can be compared to other.
It's an icon, definitely. And Thai.
Thai, too much?
Too much or very. But I think in the Chinese context, again, we would translate Thai to too. But I feel like in English, too carries this a little bit negative connotation. If you say she's just too beautiful. I mean, yes, she's very beautiful. But if you say, oh, she's just too strict to her students, then this too is like a bit too much. But in the Chinese context, yes, mainly too is, again, neutral without a super positive or super negative kind of feeling. So 太, you can just say 她太美了. She's just really very pretty. 飒.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
So cool. It's actually the first time I see this word.
This is quite, I would say, popular adjective for Chinese people these days because from the sound of it, actually, in the very beginning, 飒, this character or this word is the sound of wind. If you think of a cool breeze in the hot summer day, it's not this very subtle or very gentle kind of wind. It's like shoo or sa. It's the very direct, cut to the chase, clean cut kind of feeling. Sa. So people would use this character in words like 英姿飒爽. We know 爽 carries the meaning of cool and comfortable and happy in a hot summer day, and you have a drink or you have a sip of a iced soda and you would feel 爽, that's 爽, and 飒and 爽 carries that kind of feeling, which is why 飒 is very often used to describe women who are very cool, mighty in spirit and heroic bearing and that kind of feeling. You can kind of imagine a girl who's really good at martial art and she is really cool and really handsome in a way, and that is 飒.
Oh, yeah. So the first thing comes to mind is she's so cool.
Yeah, you can definitely use that to describe her. So cool or 飒 can be used in this scenario. So 太飒了.
Is 飒something that is recently used, or is it in vogue since a couple of years?
Actually, it's been there for a really long time. For example, we mentioned 英姿飒爽. This is a Chinese idiom. It is used to describe this really vibrant and mighty kind of feeling. Yet, the character 飒 itself being used as a word to describe these really cool ladies, I think that is more of a trend for recent years.
Yeah, I imagined.
And then, 那我带你去少林寺体验一下吧。
那我带你去少林寺体验一下吧。Then let me take you to the Shaolin Temple for some real gōngfu.
Yes. 那
Then
我
I
带
to take
to take 你
you
去
to go.
Yes, and 那我带你去 then allow me to take you to do something. You can add basically anything after this little phrase. I mean, I don't think it's exactly a phrase, but it's really frequently used. So remembering this pattern, this little short part of a sentence is very helpful. I think that's the thing. When you're learning a language, you can remember certain fixed combo or fixed phrases, and it'll help you to use the language better. For example, I can say things, 那我带你去逛逛商场吧. Then allow me to take you to the mall and let's, have a little bit of shopping. 那我带你去吃饭吧. Then allow me to take you to the restaurant.
Something.
Yes, to eat something. So these are very useful sentences we can use in our daily lives.
Yeah, I feel like it's very pretty use. It can happen every day. We're talking about a coffee shop or something, and then you can just take the ball and say, let me take you there. We can have a good time and be together. So it can be used very frequently.
Yes, and after 那我带你去, you can put a place after it. You can put something you want to do after it, or you can say like what we have here in the dialogue, that let me take you to this place to do this. And the place here is 少林寺.
So let me take you to Shaolin Temple.
So 少林寺, 寺 itself is a temple, and Shaolin is the name of it, and 少林寺 is the Shaolin Temple. 体验,
To experience.
一下.
A little bit.
A little bit, to just, to try it out. I think, though we'll translate it as a little bit, actually it's more of a way to be relatively modest, to soften the tone. And 吧 is put at the end of the sentence to suggest this is a suggestion.
Okay.
真的吗？我还想去武当山。
真的吗？我还想去武当山。So really, I also want to visit the Wudang Mountains.
Yes. 真的吗？
真的吗？Really?
Yes, you can also say 真的假的 or 是真的吗? They're all okay. And then 我
I
还
also
想
want to
去
go
武当山
to the Wudang Mountains.
Yes, to the Wudang Mountain. Now here we have another very useful and easy to follow phrase pattern or structure of a sentence. That is 我还想. Can you make a sentence with 我还想?
Can I say 我还想跟你去图书馆?
Yes, definitely.
So I still want to go with you to the library to study. Maybe it was something that we don't really want to do, but we have to.
It's okay. You can want to study. It's okay. I know you are a really good student. And yes, you can definitely say that. And here, 我还想跟你去图书馆. When I hear that sentence, I would assume that we've done it already and you want to do it again. And that's the thing.
Exactly.
With 还, we will translate it to still sometimes or also sometimes, but it can also mean once again. 我还想去 I would also want to go there again. But here in the conversation, 我还想去武当山 is on top of 少林寺. I would also want to go to 武当山. So 我还想 can carry these two different kinds of meanings.
Can it also carry the meaning, I wanted to go in the past, but I still want to go now?
Yes, definitely. So I want to do it again, or I still want to do it. 没问题，咱们说走就走，来一次功夫之旅。
没问题，咱们说走就走，来一次功夫之旅。No problem. Let's start packing and embark on a gōngfu journey.
Yes, 没问题。
没问题, no problem at all.
No problem at all. 咱们
We.
What's the difference between 咱们 and 我们?
That's actually the question I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
When do we use zánmen and woman? Why aren't we using woman here?
To be honest, at the very beginning, I thought 我们 means I and someone else. So when I'm talking to you, if I say 我们, I'm talking about someone that's not actually at site, that is not with us. And 咱们 means you and me. But actually, after a while, I realized that was quite a local thing. So for me, maybe I speak like that. But for people living in, for example, the northeast of China, 东北, they would use 咱们 and 我们 interchangeably. So my suggestion is that you can basically use 咱们 and 我们 interchangeably. And 咱们 is relatively more colloquial, whereas 我们 can be definitely used in both spoken and written scenarios. And if you'd like to distinguish who does 咱们 or 我们 actually refer to, go make sure of the meaning, regard with the context. So still also read between the lines. So that's 咱们 and 我们 interchangeably mostly.
Oh, it actually was a question that popped in my mind because it's a two-person conversation. So I asked myself, why isn't he a woman? So it's good. Now I know about it.
Yes. 说走就走.
Without hesitation, let's do this.
Yes, 说走就走. Actually, you can translate it to say go and we will go. So 说 is say, 走 go, 就 then 走 go. So the moment we say we're gonna go, we're leaving. So it's like decide to go and then leave. It implies a spontaneous decision to go somewhere or to do something without much planning or hesitation. It's often used to describe impromptu trips or activities that are decided upon quickly and enthusiastically. And the phrase reflects a scene or a sense of adventure and spontaneity. And we say 咱们说走就走, let's go, and just go. Or you can say 这是一场说走就走的旅行.
Oh, this is a very spontaneous trip that came on a whim.
Yes, so 说走就走, it's not exactly a Chinese idiom. It's more like a common phrase that we use these days.
Oh, I think the best decisions are taken with 说走就走. I can imagine maybe a group of friends not being together, and then someone has this great idea. And everyone is like, let's do this.
Let's do this.
Let's do it now.
Let's do this. And 来?
To go.
I think 来 is more like to conduct, to enjoy.
Oh, okay.
一次.
One time.
功夫 that's Kung Fu, we know.
功夫.
功夫之旅.
功夫 journey.
Yes, so 之 is kind of like an ancient way of saying apostrophe S. It's an ancient time 的, and 旅 is short for 旅行 or 旅程, so journey. 功夫之旅, it's a journey of Kung Fu, a Kung Fu journey. All right, that's the conversation. Do you have any questions?
Actually not. You answered all my questions.
Great, let's give it a go then. You start.
Okay, so 我最近迷上了中国功夫，太傻了。
那我带你去少林寺体验一下吧。
真的吗？我还想去武当山。
没问题，咱们说走就走，来一次功夫之旅。You're listening to Takeaway Chinese with myself, Niu Honglin, and Georgia. We would love to hear from you. Send us your thoughts via email to learnchinese@cri.com.cn. Coming up next, let's plan your 功夫之旅 right now. Don't go away, so you will take some Chinese away. Welcome back to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin, joined by Georgia. So Georgia, tell me, do you know anything about Shaolin, the Shaolin Temple?
To my knowledge, I know something because I think it's so popular that it crossed continents and it came to Europe. I actually came across some videos on the internet, and also it mentions in some movies. So to my knowledge, it's located in Henan province. And it's this big temple where gōngfu is practiced inside. There are many students that embark in this journey with teachers, very great teachers, actually masters. And this is my knowledge. And I didn't know it could be a place for tourism. And this is something that it's calling to me. So there's a lot of places that I would like to visit.
Yes, actually, you know quite a lot about Shaolin already. Like you said, it's a Buddhist temple at the very beginning, and the monks there have been really good at martial arts. It's one of the homework they need to do every day. So they study the Buddhism classics, and they do their daily chores, cleaning the places and eat and study. And one very important thing is to learn martial art. And with that, they started hundreds of years ago to be this place with a lot of people, masters with great Kung Fu skills. And with a relatively larger base of Kung Fu masters, they developed not only their style, their school of thoughts when it comes to martial arts, but also the 72 unique sets of skills. We call it 72绝技. So 72 is 72, and 绝 carries the meaning of this is something very special, very unique that I have, and 技 carries the meaning of skill. So this is a special skill that nobody else can do, and it's kind of like a secret. The know-how and the practicing method and ways are kind of like secrets, and the 72 unique sets of skills, 72绝技, and all kinds of special skills of Kung Fu techniques such as qigong, and also grappling, that is 擒拿 in Chinese, and wrestling, 格斗 in Chinese, and all these kinds of skills. And Shaolin definitely is a place that you can visit. It's a tourist destination. And the thing is, when you're there in modern day China, when you're there, not only will you be able to appreciate the architecture, the Buddhist classics, you would also be able to witness some kind of performances carried out by the Kung Fu masters there. So they'll play the combo and they would show you how the Shaolin Kung Fu is like, their style of Kung Fu.
Wow. I have this image in my head that maybe comes from movies that we see a lot, where Shaolin and Gongfu is extremely respected. And I have this picture also of these great landscapes, and I'm in awe. It's a path, how you said that it's not just physical, but it's also mental. And it's something, maybe at a certain point of Gongfu, you can become a weapon, and because you're so well trained that you can actually hurt someone but having these great principles that you're following and this mental strengthness, it's something that makes gongfu so unique.
Yes, and on top of Shaolin, another very famous tourist destination related to Gongfu would be Wudang Shan that we mentioned in the dialogue. Wudang Shan is located in central China's Hubei province. Wudang Mountains are recognized as the cradle of Wudang Kung Fu as a renowned Taoist sanctuary. So the Shaolin Temple is with a Buddhism background, whereas Wudang Mountain is with a Taoist background, and they are also a UNESCO World Natural and Cultural Heritage Site. And the Wudang style of martial arts stresses the importance of training both the body and the mind, like you said. Like the Shaolin Temple, there are many well-established Kung Fu academies in Wudang. Young students from around China would flock there every year to experience a childhood like no other. And the thing is, when it comes to Chinese Gongfu or Chinese Kung Fu, the practicing and the nurturing of both mind and body is important for all different kinds of genre and different schools of thought. And the only thing is that they have different ways to cultivate your mind and body. And they stress different, for example, points in your body, and they want you to breathe in different ways. And that brings us to the end of today's Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin with Georgia Massett. For more episodes of the show, you can visit our website at radio.cgtn.com and go to the column podcast. You can also listen to the show and read the script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. Don't forget to leave your thoughts, comments, and ratings. Thank you very much. 我们下次再见。
Goodbye, everyone. 再见。